My anime list is probably the most popular place to go if you want to rate anime. I know I've been using it for a long time to rate anime. I love giving something a number score. So Mal is something that's just right up my alley. But something that I also really enjoy too is bad anime. I actually really do like perusing like the lowest scum of Mal and watching that kind of stuff. I kind of just love something to balance out the really good stuff we've been getting. And about a year ago, I decided it would be a cool idea to watch the worst seasonal release for every season of anime on Mal. The big problem with doing this initially was when I did actually go to scroll to the bottom to find the worst, like I just filtered lowest rated anime, you find a lot of stuff that either has no score, is really short, like it's 12 episodes, 1 minute long each, which is just nonsense, or it's just like a single like episode or an episode or two. They're like 30 minutes. Like it's really awkward. So I did have to kind of make some criteria to filter out some of the stuff I really wasn't looking for. Because what I'm looking for is a traditional season of anime. That's what I'm really looking for. So I came up with 3 criteria. The first criteria is most obvious. It needs to have a score. I don't really want to bother with all the stuff at the very bottom that just doesn't even have enough scores to be qualified to have one. So I just kind of skip past those. And then secondly, if it was an anime I was already going to watch, I decided that I would watch that anime at the very bottom that I was going to watch already, and I would watch the second lowest just out of fairness. And then thirdly, it does have to have that standard length. I really want to watch what people would consider, or at least I would consider, to be a traditional season of anime. So it needs to be like that 10 to 24 episodes in that ballpark, and each episode needs to have its standard length, so like 20 to 24 minutes. So where I did end up starting, like I said earlier, was the summer of 2025 releases. And when I scrolled all the way to the bottom, got through all my criteria, the worst anime at the very bottom was Kamitsubaki City Under Construction. I don't think it still is. I think there is an anime. I'll put it right here if there is one. I think there is an anime that is a little lower, even according to my criteria. I think it's like 0.03, something like that. But at the time of checking when the anime was coming out, this was the lowest. So how I kind of want to do this is I want to go over a brief life synopsis or sort of my initial reactions to the story happening. We go over like story beats and stuff, and then actually get into the meat and potatoes and talk about how I actually feel about it. What really left an impression on me. However, since I did watch this season like a long time ago, like it's been like 8 months, it's been a while. I'm probably just gonna keep it short to what I'm pretty sure I remember. And also, I had to explain like all my criteria and stuff, something that I wouldn't have to do for another video of this. So I'm probably just gonna try and keep the synopsis short to what I remember, all the big stuff that really matters. Kamitsubaki City opens up with a very standard episode 1 for for anime. It opens up with our main character Kafu, just hanging out at a park. It's clear that she enjoys singing, like she's singing most of the time. And all of a sudden, the sun goes into like this berserker level event, like this eclipse level event where everything just starts going insane. People start getting turned into like fish sticks. I'm pretty sure Kafu finds her 2 parents turned into fish sticks. And eventually she finds out through the power of this sun event or whatever happened is she has become a witchling. And witchlings have the power to basically purify and sing the monsters away that are invading the city. It's later found out that she's not the only one to have gotten witchling powers through this. There's a whole like group of them, and basically they all assemble together, and their job is to protect the city from these monsters through singing, basically. And one more thing to mention, there's like this AI thing that's like their leader. She seems to be pretty friendly, and all she does really is just communicate with them and tell them what would be the best way to go about solving a situation. On top of also becoming witchlings, they also get like this bleed Sanpakto power, where like they have like a buddy that is a weapon and also their friend at the same time. Like they share like a bond, a connection. All right, so now it actually get into some interesting stuff, because early on in this anime, like it is actually like bedtime material. I remember watching this for about 12 or 13 days straight, and every single night, or nearly every single night, it would put me right to bed. It would just snooze me right out, because it was really boring. And even some episodes I just straight up fell asleep on and had to rewatch. But I would say the first really interesting thing that happens is after they find this girl that like these people have been testing on, and they save her, but then she has to sacrifice herself at the end of the episode, and then they kill all the monsters. Right after that, all the witchlings and the AI thing come together, and they sort of have like a little sit down discussion. And this, I would say, this is the first time in the anime where things actually feel like upbeat. Most of the anime up to this point has honestly been really violent. Like the gore in this anime is pretty crazy, and it's kind of weird to see because it's all like CGI and stuff. So it's like it's weird gore. And for the most part, I would say that this is probably the first moment where it's like, okay, this is happy. Besides like the very opening part of the anime, but this is also where things start just like the anime completely goes mask off. So the AI leader thing gets like just stabbed in the back, killed, like murdered right in front of anyone, and it comes out of nowhere. There's no like warning, there's no like foreshadowing. This just happens like out of the blue, and it is. I was like, whoa! It woke me right up from my slumber. And then shortly after this, they come into the possession of this like memory orb, and we don't know what it does yet. But basically, to give like the briefest rundown, there's a bit of a plot twist. So this guy right here, Maxwell, he is basically treating the entire city, like Kamitsubaki City, as a simulation. So what he's doing is every time all life in Kamitsubaki City dies, like so as soon as life is completely eviscerated, there's no life left, the world or time will reset, or just the city will reset to the point in time where the sun event happened. So where people were getting turned into fish sticks. And the reason he's doing this is he's looking for one very specific outcome, one thing to happen in a series of timelines that would help him bring back his dead waifu. And he is very, very intent on doing this because we get to see through the memory orb all of the timelines, or at least like a Call of Duty montage's worth of timelines of these witches and just people getting brutally executed by these monsters. Like there is just no remorse here. These witchlings are just getting mogged. They're getting completely like outclassed, cut up, killed, and it's pretty brutal. A little bit after this, the witchlings kind of fall into a bit of a despair, especially our main character Kafu, who actually loses her ability to even sing. So she's not even really a witchling anymore at this point. And unfortunately for this anime, I would say right after this happens, right after we find out this crazy plot twist that just comes out of nowhere, just hits you right on the face, it unfortunately gets really boring again. To be honest, this is also another gap in the anime right after this happens for the next few episodes, where it does just kind of go to the witches moping. There's some like infighting. It's not like super interesting. It is not until episode 11 where this episode like broke my brain because I just never seen anything like this in anime. So basically in episode 11, they find themselves somehow, I don't remember honestly. They find themselves in the real world. Like the episode opens with a real shot of a real city. I'm not sure what city in Japan it is, but it is a real city, and basically we see the witchlings from the anime like plastered everywhere. There's advertisements everywhere asking, telling people, hey, go to this venue, they're gonna perform. And this is when I was like, what's going on here? Like what's happening here? And I got really curious, and I decided to just look up like what is this, like, are these real people? Is this like an event or something? Like what's going on here? And it turns out the witchlings from the anime are a real life band. Like they are real like people, but they're like little digital waifus. When I read this, I was like, okay, now this anime just kind of feels like a fucking advertisement, which I wasn't a big fan of, but I'm like, okay, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I've never seen anime do this before. I'll see it through. So eventually in this episode, you do get into a real venue with a bunch of real people with a bunch of fucking glow sticks. Like these aren't paid actors, I'm pretty sure. This is like a real event that did take place that was like filmed live. This is a live filming. And you see the little waifus on screen, which to us are the witchlings, and they do like a little opening performance, and then they start talking to the crowd, like a lot. They do a lot of talking to the crowd, and at this point in the episode, I honestly thought I might be watching the wrong fucking thing, because there has been no real mention of the witchlings. I think they did some voiceovers, but like it's totally like divorced from the anime. Like it really is like a hard cut to just this, from like a CGI world to like a real concert world. It's really weird. However, the witches do eventually interrupt this from our perspective, not the live concert. The live concert is doing its thing. They basically start talking like, hey, this timeline seems great. I wish we could live here. But they come to the conclusion like, well, we gotta go kill Maxwell. We gotta go deal with that. And then we can turn our timeline into this timeline. And they do just that. They leave here, or like our world here. They go beat this guy's ass through like the power of friendship, whatever, and that's the end of the anime. It's a pretty standard ending. It's like exactly what you would expect from something like this. It's not like some groundbreaking, really crazy mindfuck ending. It's just pretty standard. They beat the bad guy, and the anime ends. All right, so honestly, I really don't have that much to say about this anime. A lot of it, even though there's some crazy, crazy plot twists that come out of nowhere, one, the fact that they come out of nowhere kind of makes it so there's no payoff. Like, I don't feel like I had a chance of guessing this was gonna happen. Like, I don't feel like the events leading up to these crazy twists, like the fact that the whole world is a simulation, or like going into like the real world, like none of this, there was no clues for me. There was no breadcrumbs for me to like pick up to like put this together. So it really does feel like it just comes out of nowhere. So while it is jarring in the moment, it's not really satisfying at all. Now, something that I think people would be initially really put off by is the CGI. 90% of this anime CGI, very rarely will you see like a 2D environment or characters drawn, which, you know, initially is really ugly to the eye. I think the majority of anime fans, as soon as they see CGI in something, even if it's in something high profile, like Attack on Titan, it's like, ew, gross, get that out of here. I don't want to get that the fuck away from me. But to be honest with you, I mean, it kind of eventually just blends for me. Like, I guess I just got used to it. Like, it kind of like Stockholm Syndrome me into thinking it was fine, even though initially I did think it was a bit like off-putting. That being said, there are some fights with the CGI that I do think actually don't look that bad. I think the animation can look kind of clean sometimes, and this anime does a good job of being bright and colorful when it wants to. A lot of the time, a lot of scenes are really dark, but I feel like when there are bright colors, like the juxtaposition of that darkness and all these bright colors coming together, it actually, I think some of the scenes look pretty good. I don't think that the anime is like really ugly or anything. I would say after learning that these are real characters in the real world, like a real band, that the character designs are just very mediocre. I would expect a band of real waifus that seems to have a decent following to kind of have a bit more of a pop out look. But really, the only way I could identify like characters most of the time was via the hair color, which I guess for modern anime is not really anything new. Most anime characters tend to be like this homogenous glob of just like the same face, same body structure, just slightly different outfit or different hair color. But I was a little disappointed since these are real characters, so I was kind of a little put off by how basic and simple it was, even though it does make sense that they're very uniform because they are in a band. I would say the most disappointing thing about this anime is even though it does have the cool parts, like I said, it is just boring. It really kind of feels uneventful. It doesn't really feel like things mean too much. There's a lot of singing that it kind of feels just forcefully injected into the anime. It's not really, sometimes it's not natural. Like, I understand when they're trying to purify these monsters, they gotta sing. But man, I remember they were like mopping the bottom of a pool or something, and they break out into fucking song and dance. Like, what is happening? Like, this doesn't really feel like it should be here. This is so fucking weird. We're on a building in front of everyone right now. Why are we doing this? That all being said, what I do want to do with these videos is not necessarily give it a number score. I feel like that'd be very lame. Obviously, none of these anime are going to score high, or at least I'm assuming none of them are going to score high. What I kind of want to do is answer the question, like, does this deserve to be at the very bottom? Does this deserve to be the worst rated anime on Mal for the given season, according to my criteria? Obviously, I'm not going to watch every fucking anime. You got to be insane to watch all. There's so much, man. There's so much anime that comes out seasonally now that it's just impossible to actually sit down at normal speed and watch all these anime, give them your full attention, especially if you're employed. I feel like I've watched enough anime to get a good idea of, like, is there something worse that came out this season, or like, is there probably something worse? And in the case of Kamitsubaki City Under Construction, I would say there probably is something worse that came out. Hell, the anime at the very beginning that I said is now lower rated, it probably is worse than this. I don't even really think this anime is that bad. I think it's just very mediocre. If you can get over like the CGI and stuff. It does enough new things, like stuff I haven't seen before, to kind of keep me interested sometimes, while also putting me to bed other times. So I do think it's just, like, it's fine. Now, the next time I do one of these, I think I am going to try and make the synopsis bit a bit longer. And I also watched the next anime I'm going to do a lot more recently, so a lot more fresh in my brain. So I think that'll just be better content. Other than that, that's really all I got to say. Bye-bye.